Please stand. I'll call this meeting to order. Recite the pledge of allegiance to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, please.
Sure. Mr. Bryler?
Here.
Mrs. Minnie? Here. Mr. Planser?
Here.
Mr. Apple?
Here.
Mrs. Trumbull here.
Thank you. I would ask for a motion to accept our consent agenda for a total of $315,559.11.
I'll move to that.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second to approve our agenda, our consent agenda. John, could we have a roll call, please?
Sure. Mr. Bryler?
Yes.
Mrs. Minnie?
Yes.
Mr. Planser?
Yes.
Mr. Apple?
Yes.
Mrs. Trumbull, yes.
Thank you. Citizens wishing to address the Board of Trustees. And we do have a few. Sharon Hammond?
I'm just wondering if they did anything about doing a road survey here, or if they're going to reduce the speed.
I've been in correspondence with the man from MDOT. Got a letter back from him that they're going to do a speed study on 25. And it needs to meet the 85th percentile, and he said the speed limit could either go up or could go down when they do the speed study but the state has some real different criteria. They're well aware of it, so the letters have all been sent, and we've got a letter back from them. They are going to do a speed study and a traffic light study.
Do you know how long it will be before they decide to do that?
In the letter, it stated it could take up to a year, if you can believe it.
How is it possible that it can go up?
Well, that was in, but that was just in the letter, because they use an 85th percentile.
And
when they
it
do
said that if the speed limit of people driving through is higher, the majority of the 85th percentile is higher than what we have posted, it could go up. I think that means I'd be sending letters to MDOT.
Yeah.
We're working on it, but if the public could contribute here, it always helps.
Is there anything else that we can do?
I think at this time, until we get some kind of a result back as far as the speed study goes. And I will call him again and to see if they're going to expedite that for us, or to my feeling, it doesn't do any good to do a speed study or a traffic signal study if they're going to do it in December, or if they're going to do it in January or February, March, anytime. If they're not doing it between May and August,
then
it's a worthless deal, as far as I'm concerned. And I tried to express that to him when I talked to him on the phone.
Because I know they do them randomly, usually through the winter months, so they don't have to do anything about the cost. That's not fair.
And that's what I'm afraid of. But what I'm thinking, and this is just my thought, and if any of the board members have it, I think what we need to do, if we don't get any result from the state, is we start a letter writing campaign. Get the whole township involved and send some letters to the governor and send some letters to MDOT. But I guess I'm a little hesitant in starting it right now until we get some kind of result or some kind of study from them to know exactly what to do. Now, I guess it probably would hurt to send a letter, but I don't know. I don't know what the best way of handling that is.
Sounds like the same old, I'm going to push it off thing.
Well, I hope it isn't the same old runaround that that we always get, but Anything else?
Thank you.
David Kleinstecker?
Yeah, regarding 3695, that took some, they did do the demo on the flat roof section.
Yeah.
On August 2nd, almost 3 weeks ago, and this is where they've left it. We're worse shape now than we were when we started.
Well, you got one truck out of you.
There were two trucks, yeah.
Yeah, they got the one truck. I'll tell you,
It was-
we're calling them every
Yeah.
day. We're calling them every day.
Yeah, our question was on the demo permit and the roofing permit, you know, it mentioned the roofer's name, I believe is the contractor. Is that, do they generally put the contractor's name on a permit now?
The building permit, yeah.
Yeah, and now there's Timberline that did, you know, the demo permit was issued to the gal for the roofer apparently to do the re-roofing, or he was the contractor listed on it, but the person that did the demo was Timberline and Tree. So I don't know if that makes a,
No, I don't.
you know, I don't know how those really work, but those are just some of the neighbors who wanted me to bring up, you know, they expect
Well, they
this guy
could,
to
you
come
know,
out.
they could have subbed that out to Timberline to do
Okay.
it, you know.
But, you know, now more of the houses now open the elements than it was before, and all the trash is down there.
Well,
And I know
I'll tell you, I've had the
Yeah.
building inspector on it.
Okay,
We do have a new zoning administrator in place. That's one of the, gave them the list on Saturday. That was one of our top priorities, to get that thing rolling, get
Okay.
that thing going, so.
yeah, because I know like with that lead paint repair and the RFP ruled by the EPA, you know, any of those areas where possibility of lead paint, which you know there had to be in that thing, has to be roped off with caution tape and everything else and plastic.
Well, our building inspector's been after him every day. He's made a
Okay.
call to him every day.
All
You
right.
know, I talked to him early last week. I said I want those trucks out of there. I want the, not only do I want the trucks out of there, I want the garbage and the trash that's laying there on the ground cleaned up too, you know. And he makes calls, but, you know, it's falling on deaf ears.
Yeah.
It's hard to
Did he
do.
talk to the owners or the Timberline?
He called both Timberline and, you know, to get the truck out of there, because Timberline told him, well, I need the trucks anyway, so I'll get them out of there, but I still see, is there one there tonight still?
Yeah, it's in the picture.
Yeah.
That's as of 5 o'clock this evening.
Okay. Well, I'll get ahold of Tom again tomorrow morning, and I'll get Rada after too.
We appreciate it, thank you. I think we started this back, what, September last year?
Yeah.
Well,
Is when we started the
it's been going on,
complaint process.
yeah. Benjamin Brown and Karen Crockett, who would like to speak, or both who would like to speak?
We were just wondering if there ever came, I know a noise ordinance and a rental ordinance have both been brought up. We were just wondering if anything had ever come up with them, because we're having problems in our neighborhood. It's not just us, it's other neighbors. We've talked to the cops have pretty much said Burtchville Township has ordinances, you can't pick your neighbors, deal with it, don't go out of your house.
That was last
Do
night.
you, are you getting those police officers' names?
Last night I did, we were so flustered.
Try to do that.
To the
Please
point
try to
that
do
my
that,
mom
because
has my
we,
4-month-old right now, and she's had it since noon, because I can't deal with it.
as much as you know, I don't blame you, but if you can, it's really important that we have somebody's name to report to the sheriff that's telling that, because it's simply not
And this
true.
was
I
a
said, does the
police
state
last night.
have a noise ordinance? And he said, no. If your township doesn't do anything,
This was
sorry.
the state police?
State police showed up last night. I don't know if the sheriffs were busy or what.
Well, no, state police is patrolling this area a lot, because their Richmond office closed down, so
Okay.
Yeah, they're in Port Huron, so.
I'd like to know who's issuing that out. I
And
guess we
then,
gotta work on that still.
is there any ordinance enforcer on the borders or somebody like, once there is?
We're
I
trying to
think
figure
there
out
was,
what we can do to stop the problems, and we're running to dead end after dead end after
Well,
dead
the
end.
problem, if we don't have an ordinance, you can't enforce an ordinance.
so I didn't know if there was any kind of ordinance
You know.
enforcer person in place now.
He was just hired last week,
Okay. For the new zoning?
for the zoning,
Okay,
so
that's
that's, yeah.
what would fall under the rest
So
of
he
it.
would cover our ordinance enforcement too. We will,
What's the new zoning ordinance?
What's the new ordinance, officer's name?
Rodney Cowan,
Colin?
Cowan, C-O-W-A-N, Rodney.
Yeah, that's it from us, thank you.
All I can tell you is we'll look into the police, find out, you know, what, you know, who was out there, try to find out who was,
I mean,
who
it-
took your call.
What's the, okay, it was yesterday, but
Yeah, yesterday afternoon we called.
what time about?
About
30.
1:30 was the problem, the police were there about 2:30.
In the morning, this is,
No,
in
afternoon.
Afternoon.
the afternoon.
Afternoon, yeah. Nighttime is okay.
Partying or what, noise or?
Multiple,
Yeah, it's probably a lot more than what we want to get into
Yeah.
right here tonight.
Oh, okay, well,
It's a lot of retaliation and force and threatening, harassment, and life threatened and swearing.
See, that's all covered under the law, so I don't understand
You would
why.
think.
The problem, he said, is that since we're neighbors, we can't get a personal protection order because as being neighbors, we'd be violating it.
That doesn't make sense to me,
I
does it
know.
you?
That's
Yeah.
why we're going every avenue.
That's why I want to know if there's ever been a rent, if the noise ordinance ever got anywhere, because I know it's been brought up
The
before.
noise ordinance is.
And the rental ordinance, because it's a rental, and the other rental neighbors are fine, it's just this one
We went to
house.
all the neighbors today and everybody's willing to write a written statement,
But
but
it's a problem.
what can we do about it?
Okay.
It's so,
But we're all
Starting
running
here.
at dead ends,
Yeah.
because
if we had a noise ordinance in place, we'd be
we
able to
call the
enforce
landlord,
it.
the landlord calls them, he says we're complaining again, which ends up with them screaming at us. I can't go out my yard, I can't, like, I have to get in my car, drive somewhere, take my dog to exercise, because he can't go in the yard. It's not safe.
That's more than noise problem.
Yeah, and that's why.
It-
we're
it's
calling
a
lawyers
civil,
and
it's a,
finding out.
really, it boils
Yeah.
down to, it isn't a township matter at that point, it's a civil, between you, the only other way, is get a lawyer involved, I mean, I hate to say that, but, I mean, we've talked about a noise ordinance, and Al, maybe you can, the planning commission looked into a noise ordinance.
We've studied it a couple different times, it's just no way to enforce it even if you had it.
The point here, there's one, I mean, and
Well, it's not enforced.
But see, they have their own,
And
they have
police
their own
department.
police, see, that makes a difference. If we have our own police enforcement agency, then we can enforce it.
But part of the problem is the state cop would have enforced it if there was one.
That's
But,
what he said.
well, he claims he would have.
Yeah, he says
Yeah,
there's a
well-
Burtchville Township ordinance.
That's
and enforcement.
always there.
They're giving us the runaround there.
That's always there.
Yeah, I mean, we've had that before from
It's
the
a
sheriff's
workshop.
department too.
That's kind
And
of,
we
yeah.
dealt with the sheriff, the prior sheriff with that in the past, and things improved.
The
So,
county sheriffs we've had show up for this have been supportive and, understanding
Well,
of the
maybe the
problem.
state
and
police
stay with us.
troopers need a little more information.
He was more annoyed to be there than helpful.
You don't know, the officer, you didn't.
I didn't.
You know what, you guys really,
Really,
and
really.
keep,
That's-
I would
that's
advise
what I
you
did.
to keep
That's what I
calling and try to get their name.
All we could do it as a municipality is put pressure on them. If we had a name, we'd call somebody, but, really, it's a civil matter between you and the neighbors.
You just want to check on the ordinance.
You know,
to see if they're
and,
going
I mean, I'm sorry that, that's the way it is, but honestly, that is the way it is. Now, we can, like Al said, we've looked into doing a noise ordinance,
More than once.
Yeah, I remember last time for fireworks, you guys were talking about it. 'cause
Well,
it was an issue.
That's a statewide thing that
Yeah.
everybody's trying to deal with.
And
We've looked into it.
And the
Some
county is now doing a fireworks ordinance. Just
Yeah, we
like they're
may
gonna
join
do
in.
an ORV ordinance, so, then the county will enforce it if, and that's, in all honesty, that is the problem with all the townships in these ordinances, because every township has a different ordinance.
Right.
Now, if they adopt an ordinance at the county level, to encompass, but they don't want to take local leadership away either, And I understand that too, because then people are going to say, well, the county is telling us how we're going to operate and everything, but, you can't have it both ways.
So really, it sounds like in order to have an ordinance that's enforceable, you really have to have a local police department.
That would
can
help,
enforce it.
that would help,
Well, except that we're all paying taxes to have the county enforce it.
I'm straight.
And that's
Do you mind if I
that's my feeling on it too, is that we pay the county to police our township, and
That's right.
they should be taken care of.
Do you mind if I ask what you turned the call in as? Harassment, noise?
He threatened because it was harassment of us to him because we're,
We
Taking
have a
a lot
lot
of all the
of, from the
problems.
time they moved in, a lot of the issues that have gone on, them throwing rocks at me and my dog on the beach, the dad threatening us, and he said, well, if you keep your log on me, that's harassment, I'm taking you to court, and F-bombed this, F-bombed that in front of the baby, and he finally shut the door on him and said, fine, see you in court. So we called the cops to make a report of the problem. They must have called the cops also because when the state cop showed up, he said, so what's going on? I already talked to them. Which, right then, he was done.
He wasn't interested.
No.
So he wasn't interested in what you had to say
Well-
about
not at all. Just basically said, you can't pick
Because
your
of the
neighbors.
people that are living
Deal with
there
it.
and things that they get in order to live there, we're pretty much stuck between a rock and a hard place.
Let's see what we can do. No, I
Like
can't
it's not-
promise where we're.
Oh, I know, you guys can't. I don't want you to
But we
magically
passed- we-
disappear, but.
We actually had the prior sheriff come up here,
Call the
and he
sheriff's
spoke
department?
to our meeting, and it was helpful. I'm sorry, Cindy, what'd you say?
Well, I was just asking Al, can they call somebody and report that the state policeman was not really doing his
I
job?
mean, he pretty much told me because we have the shared beach easement. The state trooper said, well, you guys need to stay away from them, and they need to stay away from you, and don't call the landlord anymore. And I said, well, what about the beach? He said, we'll go further away from it. I said, it's 30 feet. I can't go further away from them. There's 12 children, 17 and under, down there at one time from this one home.
He's not liking patrolling
And he
civil
looked at me and he
matters.
said, well, then I guess you better wait for them to go back to school and go between 8 and 2.
That's what he told us. Yeah. On a piece of property that
I
we bought
really-
or
I know,
purposely.
I would have gotten his name and badge number and
By
card
that
number
point,
and
it was all
everything.
I could do not to be
Yeah.
screaming and swearing, holding the 4-month-old, you know.
Yeah.
You know what, I'd call the sheriff.
Did you get a
and-
complaint number?
No, that's on my list to do tomorrow. when I'm
Okay.
I'd call the sheriff
You
and
know,
ask
will
him
you
to call you
call
back
Me
and
Call us if you
tomorrow
get
or
a complaint
Ruth
number.
and let us know.
talk to the sheriff. I mean, that's just unacceptable, I'm sorry. It's,
Find
There
out
is a
what
number
they
to the
sent
sheriff's
and-
office. I mean, you won't speak directly with him immediately, but I would call that too. But if you'll call me, I'll see what I can do.
I'm planning on driving down there tomorrow.
What I can do. what
Yeah,
I can
yeah, we
do.
gotta
Like, you know, like I said, you guys can't control who lives where. I get that, but
The whole neighborhood is all having a problem from one
I just
person.
wanted.
where is this?
On the
Between-
other side of Hillman, on the south end of Hillman's Variety Store.
It's just south of, it's south.
Just south of Myrtle Road.
Myrtle Road.
Okay.
Yeah, between Myrtle and Elaine.
Anyway, street.
One house.
On
Both
the
sides
west
of it have problems, people behind them have problems, cars have been dented, cars have been scratched. Yeah, it's fun.
Are the neighbors calling in?
The
Are they
neighbor talked
afraid to?
Today said they called
Neighbors,
the cops
I've
3
had cops
times.
there at least 3 times. They-
Well, you know what, as a group, you're gonna have
Yeah.
to do a whole,
Yeah.
you're gonna have to do a
It
journal.
really is a civil matter. You
I
need to-
know, that's.
Yeah, you
but
need
after
to
the
get
cops
everybody
said,
together
Burtchville
and,
has no ordinances, I can't do
yeah.
anything, so I'm like, well.
Yeah, well, you
That's
know
right.
what?
Well, yeah, but there are people,
Or, sorry,
when they
my
start
expression
interrupting
there is just blowing
your,
smoke.
when you can't go in your own yard and stuff like that, then that's a civil deal, and that needs to be taken up, you know, and it's a shame, because you're gonna have to probably employ an attorney and everything else to take care of it, but that's the way it is, you know.
And at this point, 1.5 years into it, it's like, you know, if that's what it is, that's,
This has been going on for a year and a half, or?
yeah, we have to know it's coming back a year
In the
and a half.
beginning, the landlord said it's an adjustment period for anybody who moves into the neighborhood with that many kids, you're just gonna get used to it. But I talked to him yesterday, I said, it's been a year and a half, I'm not gonna get used to it.
The adjustment period's over.
Well, the
we're trying to be
landlord's
nice.
not wanting to lose his
No.
tenants.
No, they don't wanna lose their section 8.
Well,
And again,
give
another
us a call with the
question.
complaint
Have you
number.
talked to the landlord association?
I don't know which one he's a member
Yeah,
of.
we don't
Well-
have one.
No, but there is,
There's 2 in town,
oh, there's 2?
There's
Well,
2.
I call both of them.
and he works for a real estate company. He's a property manager for, he's working for a real estate company, he's also a property manager of at least this house, if not more. So I've got some avenues I'm gonna go down tomorrow, but
Some real
tonight my job is to see if there's any ordinances or not.
Give us a call with the complaint number.
Okay.
But, you know, what do
See
you
if
think?
we can put some pressure on them.
Well, we'll make some calls, you know, that's what we can do.
Our taxes are pretty important.
Whether it does any good or
Yes,
not,
they are.
we
Yes, they
will,
are.
we will make the calls and contact the people and find out why they're not servicing our residents, you know.
Right.
It's a good
And
point.
that- and that's the way I feel about it,
That's a good way. to-
because they're, as far as I'm concerned, they're not servicing your problem, you know, be it the state or the sheriff's department. You know, so I think, you know, at least give us the number and I'll make some calls, whether, like I said, whether it does any good or not, we'll
Okay.
see. Okay?
Thank you, appreciate it.
You're welcome. Anybody else care to address the board? Hearing none, I will move on to ask for approval of our agenda.
Move to approve the agenda. We need to add this Resolution thing on it?
Actually, that resolution's been approved, Al.
We approved it.
Oh, okay.
We just,
We
I
never
thought we
had,
did.
we never had a
yeah,
hard
we
copy.
approved it, it's
Oh,
just
okay.
typed up
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
showing.
It's the one.
You just have to go down and get it.
Just wanted to hear this.
Okay, no, we didn't. Okay, we have somebody, we have motion and support to approve our agenda. All in favor?
I,
Aye.
Wait a minute, can you read back to us who moved and who's supported?
I did.
Al moved and
Jody.
Jody supported.
Okay, thank you.
So our agenda is approved. Department reports.
Mark, we have a couple calls going on here right now, so.
What's
Oh,
that?
is he on the fire call?
The fire department has a couple calls going on, that's why you're up.
Okay,
We'll have to come back to them later.
okay, yeah, we'll come back to Mark in our meeting.
Get that.
Building department, anything?
No, they had the CBA had that meeting on the stuff over on the lake, and everybody knows that the ZBA agreed with the zoning administrator's decisions.
Okay.
That's how that went.
And do you want to let everybody know?
The, oh, no, yeah, I don't know his name.
Adams.
Yeah, North Shore Resort.
North Shore Resort.
Yeah, the Churchmans have filed an appeal about the building, and, which we've never had anybody do that before, where they've
Challenge.
challenged the zoning administrator's decisions. And so they had the ZBA meeting 3 weeks ago or something like that. What day was it, 16th?
Yeah, what's his,
In July
yeah,
anyhow.
in July.
And it was, I don't know, you were here, Bob, it was about an hour long, probably. So, but they agreed with the findings from the zoning administrator. So I don't know if that'll go any farther or not. Their next step would be to go to the circuit court. Never heard.
And I think they had like 30 days to appeal to circuit court, so.
Yeah.
Okay, moving on, water department. Dusty will be starting to flush hydrants on 9/8/14, so if you see a little
Looks like you just
discolorization
did 'em.
in your water, well, you know,
That's how fast it's
we're coming
over.
into fall, we're coming into
I
fall
know,
already.
I mean, just like.
It wasn't much of a summer, so we're coming into fall. Okay, Jane, library?
Thank you for getting the doors fixed. When the man came out to fix the north door, he blamed the fact that there didn't seem to be any peg left on the bottom on weather and salt and that. He said they corrode to the point where there isn't enough of them to actually catch down where they're supposed to. He pointed out that,
Oh, I know, it's on the door.
yeah, he pointed out that the post that we use for the automatic door opener is actually starting to rust and corrode at the bottom too, so.
I noticed that the other day when I was over there, we need to get somebody over there and take
Yeah,
and scrape
yeah,
that thing.
He said the weather and the salt just makes them wear right away, so. And the only other thing is today, the north parking spaces, at least 3 of them were taken up by cars that, where no one ever was in the library. The cars were there when I got there, and they didn't leave until probably 5, 6 o'clock this afternoon.
I think I can answer that. You probably see it most of the week. The condos down at the end of the street, Milwaukee Creek condos, they're ripping all their asphalt out and re-asphalting. And they've got a whole bunch of cars parked out on the street, as many as they can, and I think some of them are parking like their second cars or whatever down there because they cannot get into their houses. I think, because they were there 6 o'clock this morning. The parking lot was full on that side, so some of them did leave, but 2 or 3 of them stayed. But that's what that's all about.
Yeah, I put the signs on them because I did not know that, so. I
Well,
put the signs on saying.
I don't think they asked, but I think they just did it, so.
Yeah.
Maybe they ought to ask the church.
Maybe they could use the church, or, you know.
That's not used like the library is, to ask.
And that's maybe where they'll be tonight if she puts signs on them.
Maybe.
They're not.
But I'm sure that's what
They
it's
were
all
on my
about.
lawn last year, so I blocked it off temporarily
Oh,
while they're doing
good
this
for you.
because they tear off my yard. I mean,
Yeah, it's hard.
the mailman wouldn't deliver the mail for over 2 weeks. The garbage wasn't delivered or picked up for 2 weeks, and there was cars parked on my mailbox and a mess left in my yard after a 2-week duration. I didn't have lawn out there. So this year we blocked it off. Can't do it. I mean, if they ask, that'd be one thing. or they at least left the garbage man space to pick up the garbage, or the mailman, it'd be okay, but.
Yeah, well, it's just, no, computer classes have not started back up again, but they would in September, and I was just concerned that it not be something they get in the habit of doing, because
Right.
if it had been a computer class night, those people would have expected to have been parking over there.
Well, it's just, actually,
Temporary deal.
yeah. I got Mark Harrington texted all the firemen about it yesterday, I think it was.
So basically, you can't get down there with
Yeah,
the fire
it's-
trucks.
The condos at north end of Second Street are replacing all the asphalt parking lots for the next week or so. No residents are able to get into the garages, but that's probably why they were there.
They probably just thought because that's township property, they can park.
Well, they're also down where somebody was complaining about a portable basketball hoop by the fire hydrant.
Yeah.
They're out parking in there too, so.
They were the ones that were complaining about the basketball
Complaining, but-
being there. Yeah, I know.
And they're parking there.
So, but, you know, you get 20 units or whatever, and it's a lot of cars.
A lot of cars. If they each got two, that's a lot of cars. Okay, anything else, Jane?
No, other than the library has a new page. Well, Roger's finally moved on, and our new page, actually, she and her family live in the condo.
Oh, good.
There you are. You got that one right there. Just tell
The
them.
weird thing is, she generally walks to work and does not bring it.
What's her name?
Kim Light,
L-I-G-H-T?
no, Licht.
So that's all you, thank you very much. Okay, unfinished business. The adoption of a new fire ordinance for our township. We need to do the first reading tonight, and then we need to set a second, and we need to set a date for a public hearing. All right, so-
Well, Mike, we never actually read them.
Well,
before.
we don't have to read it, I don't.
Okay, but
It's a formal that we're gonna adopt the state fire code,
is this the international?
international fire code, so we don't have to, every time the code changes, we don't have to change. You know, which we've never had before, so.
Are we sure we want to do this? Have you ever looked at this code?
Well, that's interesting, Al, I kind of wondered.
Well, has anybody ever looked at the code?
Yeah,
A little, mm-hmm.
There's the book.
yeah, I absolutely know.
Do we
what
have that book?
looks like.
Do we have this book?
Yeah, Mark has it. Yeah. Well, we don't have it right now because it's in the hands of Mark.
There's more in this fire code than there is in our whole zoning ordinance.
Yeah, I wonder.
Wait, first reading, you guys gonna read this one?
No, we're not going to read this book.
I'm not staying either.
Or maybe that's something we need to review?
Well, here's the fire chief.
Let's ask the fire chief.
Wow.
A resolution to adopt the, to adopt the fire code, the international code. There's been some questions of whether we need to adopt, township needs to adopt this or not.
Well,
Maybe you can
there's
shed some-
a few things about things we don't have. Right now, we have no one ever inspects any buildings, and commercial buildings, after they're existing. When they build them, when they remodel them, we get building inspectors there. Any other time, no inspections ever get done. You could have churches, schools, every business could be screwing all their doors closed except for one, the main door. You have debris piled in front of them. We have no way to ever make sure that the public safety is guaranteed. Someone could open up a fireworks factory at one of these buildings down here north in Birch and just start building stuff. You guys, we don't have a way to ever stop them. It's because we don't have a code that says you can only have it within so many feet of a school and all the stuff that happens. That's why I gave you guys the chapter headings of all the chapters, what it does. Somebody could haul in 1,000,000 gallons of name the bad liquid and it could be right next to your house, and we have no way to ever stop it.
No, I
And there's,
understand.
and this, you know, under Public Act 300, the fire chief is responsible for that kind of stuff. You know, firefighter right to know, all those things, but we are so deficient on some things that we could never stop it. Nobody checks the exit lights at schools or businesses to make sure that churches,
Yeah, that they're,
you know, that they're working. Because all it is, you know, right now we go in and say, please, pretty please, the sugar on top, would you take those screws out of that door so the people could get out if they had to? You know, because there's no
Who's
one.
going to enforce this?
We'll have to do with some inspections, you know, which,
Who would do that?
Has to be a fire code official.
yeah, fire code official, Fort Gratiot has some, on their department we could have do it. We have a guy in our department who's a certified fire inspector. But right now we have no laws, so we can't do anything. But it's just all it is walk in and say, hey, this, you know, is your Ansel work system working? Show us the records of your Ansel system in your restaurant. Are the doors not cluttered with debris where somebody could get out if they had to? Is, you know, all the hazard material stuff that people can do, firework, you name it, they can do anything. It's because there's no ordinances at all. It could be just a free-for-all in the township. And that's why, you know, when someone comes in, it's public safety on commercial buildings, mostly what it is. So when they're a certain size, they have to sprinkle them, or, you know, all those kind of things, because that's not a code. I mean, it's not the end of the world if somebody has a fire sprinkled commercial building, you know, if it's so many square foot, it's safety for.
This only affects commercial?
Well, I think it has to do with, it goes along with your building, your zoning and things, well, you know, how many feet a hazard material factory could open up next to, whatever, you name it.
Right, I was gonna say, most
You
of
know.
the things you mentioned, I thought were handled by zoning.
Um,
Commercials, you know, we have site plan reviews and,
But right now, anybody can convert any of their businesses, and I know it, you know, they could start doing anything in there. You name the business, and I can name you the hazard that could be there for firefighters and for public, because we don't ever go back into to make sure that they're staying within the scope of laws.
well, right now, we don't have one.
We don't have none, we
We
never
don't
had
have
one.
any. We don't
You
have
know,
any at
it's
all
just
in the township.
I
well, we
guess,
have our
for sake of-
ordinance all night.
Yeah, but
No, we have
no
our
one does
ordinance,
any
but it doesn't cover
inspections.
safety.
It has, you know,
Yeah,
whoever goes back in the gas
Yes.
station.
We have our building code
yes.
that has some,
When you do a site plan review, yes.
But like, for example, I can give you an example, the mobile station. No one has ever been there since they've been there. Make sure their safety, the main safety switch that kills all the power to all the pumps, works. They have to have it certified, and they probably have it. But no one goes in and ever checks that. Because when there's a fire there, or if something happens, somebody crashes into a pump, they gotta be able to hit that emergency, which kills the power to all the pumps. Well, no one has ever been there, and since the place has been there, and they very, like I said, they very well could have all the documentation, but someone needs to go there and say, can I see the documentation that you've had your emergency, whatever you call it, switch checked, you know? And, you know, you go into the churches, and are the doors flooded where if there was a fire that nobody could get out? And I can tell you that church I go to, there's doors in there that I go by and go, oh boy, you know, it just, the emergency lights, they could not be working anyplace, but it's just, it's not a cumbersome thing, it's about public safety, it's about moving from, you know, yesteryear where everybody just did, you know, lack of better, a free-for-all, to just to keep people within bounds of in most townships who have commercial and all those things, all have a fire prevention. You know, for all the bigger townships, all have some. So you have, and it's, you know.
Mark, do the bigger townships have this whole international one, or do they just have the important things in their
Most of them
ordinance?
have the international, because most people go by the International Building Code, International Plumbing Code, International Electrical Code, International Mechanical Code, and this is just one more book in the series of books that, you know, we have a plumbing code that, you know, tells you how many bathrooms have to be in a football stadium or a store, you know, how many men's and women's, and how many faucets, and, You have to have hot water by code, you have to have a kitchen in your house, all those things. So this is just another book in those codes that are out there, you know.
Mark, would this affect the, what you can burn as far as like brush and stuff, or is this just for public safety? Is that stuff? Because I know we have a local.
There is a section in there.
Yeah, there is a section.
And what's changed?
Yeah, it would stop factories from burning tires for heat, you know, just all that, you know, I don't have it memorized by far, I've read through it, a lot of it, but I don't have it
Oh,
memorized.
geez.
You
Do
know,
we
a lot of
want
it.
to
It's
read it
It's like,
again before we
You've seen,
go?
well, I just think it should be
Review it?
review it. I think before you can adopt it, I think you gotta have a fire official. You're also supposed to have an appeals board.
Okay.
So if somebody wants to appeal the fire officials, tell them they gotta close, they, you know, all that stuff has, if you're gonna do it, you gotta have all that, and, I mean, Fort Gratiot does it,
Mhm.
but, you know, they are a charter township, I mean, they had to,
They have a lot of.
they have a little different order than we do, but,
Well, should we maybe,
we could probably find out what.
Well, I don't know that they have any more liability than we would.
oh,
I mean,
a lot
you know.
more.
Well, I mean, they have more
commercial.
business.
They have more exposure, not
Yeah.
Yeah,
more
yeah,
exposure.
yeah, more exposure, right.
So shall we, set it aside till next month and do a little more review on it as to what we need to do to comply?
Somebody wants to make a motion to that effect?
Well, nobody's made a motion to do anything.
No.
Yeah, I don't know, I just think there's some things that we need to.
Review and see what we have to do to be in compliance when we actually approve this, is that what you're saying?
Yeah. You know, I don't know if we can buy.
I have to agree,
Do
I
you
think
have
I
that
agree
book?
with Al on that.
Do you have the International Fire Code book?
Yeah.
Just one copy?
Yeah.
Are they?
You have it, or does Doug still have it?
You know, that's what I was.
I thought, you're right, I thought he did still have
Yep.
Maybe we better get it back here and we'll
it. Well, I'll
take
get it,
turns
I'll pick it
looking
up.
through
I'll go
it.
down and pick it up.
But I guess my question would be, is what you guys need and how are you guys gonna review this? You know, I gave it to you 2 months ago, the stuff and the headings and all the stuff to look it over, and what do I need to do or what needs to happen so you can review it, because I guarantee it, if
We
I
need to
handed
get
you a
the book
plumbing,
back.
if I handed you a plumbing code book, you wouldn't have a clue what it said after about 3 pages. And so what is in that fire prevention ordinance that you were gonna understand?
I hope I would understand some of it, if not, I would try to find out the answer to it, Mark, but we don't even have the book to review it. We haven't had it, Doug has it, so.
What was that one, Al?
I borrowed it. I have to take it back tomorrow, so.
No, that's.
Because I couldn't find it either, and I wanted to, you know, like, you know, we adopting 16 pages here, or what are we adopting? I mean,
I didn't print out, 1,500 pages.
no, there's no reason to. A lot of
I
that
gave you the
stuff.
title chapters, and it had, underneath those title chapters I gave you, it said kind of what it would prevent, or how it helps the township to protect the public and, versus all sorts of things.
Well, we have 4 weeks. If
Well, we
each
did
take
send it
for a
down to
week-
the attorney for review, and he,
Well, he just wrote up an approval form for us, which is what we asked for, but we have 4 weeks if each of us took it for a week since Al's already seen it.
Well, I agree with Mark. What are we gonna see in there that's gonna make us change our mind or not?
Oh, I don't know if it'd change our mind.
But if it's going to be helping, I mean, obviously there's gonna be more administrative stuff to do. If we start doing these inspections, which I think is what this is gonna lead to, isn't it?
Yeah,
So these buildings, once they've been built, they never get inspected.
never again, unless they change use, or, get a building permit, but they never, ever get changed, looked at again.
I just myself want to know more about how the
Well,
process
I
is.
got you the
and
stuff
what we need to do.
8 weeks ago, and nothing's really happened in 8 weeks. And
Well,
I
again, we
wonder
sent
what
it to
18
Doug.
more are gonna happen.
I'm not so concerned with all the stuff that's in there, I'm just concerned with how it's gonna be enforced.
Right.
Well, that's what we'll have to.
And what it's gonna cost.
Mhm.
And where's
So we
that,
need-
is that coming out of the fire department's budget, or does that come out of the building department budget?
Well,
I mean, it's just,
Those are things
it's just
that we
another
can-
inspector, just like the rest of the inspectors.
we can
Well,
do
that's
some
what the
review
board,
on
that's
it.
what
And
the
that's
board will
the-
have to decide where it's gonna come out, I mean, we can put it into the budget.
You know, you just-
I used to work at Girl Scouts in Portland Township,
and one of my jobs was to rent the building. And every year, a fire inspector would come through, check all of our fire extinguishers, check our emergency lighting, check all the doors. Now mind you, we had kids in there all the time. But we looked at it, it was a good thing, and our insurance actually requested, we had to have a signed document, as well as we had the key lock on the door. The fire department had a special locking code, and I don't know if that happens here in the township or not. Like if we were closed down after hours, you know, instead of having to call someone to get into the building, literally they just punched in their code and they could be in the building just like that. Now, it was a confidential thing, and that's what they had for a lot of the businesses in Port Huron Township, because there are times you have to get inside. So, I don't know,
Well, and I
Well,
can
it's
tell
certainly
you,
for the safety of the.
and like I said, and it was every year, I mean, I worked there 6 years, and every year, you know, the person would come in and would walk through, and then, you know, would come get me and whoever was above me, and if there was a problem, you know, we
you
had
had
to get it
answered,
fixed.
just like I worked in a dental office.
Well, we have the international plumbing code, right? And we have the international building code,
That's from mechanical and.
mechanical.
Very important.
You know, those are all the same, they're just the, you know, there's bulk, there's a whole bunch of different codes, and that's just one of the ones that most people adopt is, that's the group, I guess. You know, the engineers and all those people who do all those, that's what they call their stuff, and it's been around since I've been.
And the nice thing about this is when they change that, we automatically change it.
If in the wording in your ordinance, you
Yeah,
say,
yeah.
we use the most current, just like you do your plumbing and your building, your electrical and your mechanical, those same ones, we use the most current adopted code.
You might as
That's
well,
all.
you might as well call an order $3, because it's one of the first things it says, as may be amended, it's talking about the fire code as may be amended from time to time, 3 copies of which are on file in the office of the township clerk. You don't have any. See, this is the stuff I'm
Yeah,
saying.
we're not ready to
You
approve
know,
it tonight,
yeah.
I don't think. We need to get everything set, we need to amend our budget, we need to find out what it's gonna cost, who we're gonna hire to do
Yeah,
this.
There's a lot of stuff.
I'm not trying to fight it, I'm just trying to
Right, we're just not
make
ready
sure
to
that
approve it
when it's
tonight.
adopted, you know, we're
We have
not.
no idea what it would cost us, and,
Well, regardless, I mean, I agree, it shouldn't, we can't afford, maybe, what do I want to say? The world, but on the other hand, I worked in a dental office, and that's what I was in charge of, and I had to have the notebook with the MDS, and the firemen came in every year, and
right.
if you,
But Cindy, we can't even amend our budget if we don't know what it's gonna cost us to do this. So I
well,
think-
we should have been looking at it closer.
Well, do you wanna be on the committee? Okay.
I'll make a motion that we do this by next month.
Okay.
Well, what we need to do is, if we're gonna do that, then we need to set up a committee to review the book. Everybody, are you gonna sit there and read that whole book?
No, I'm not, but
I mean,
I
are
don't
we
think
gonna
we
get a
have
committee that
to.
wants to sit there and read the whole?
I don't think we have to look at the whole thing.
I couldn't read it.
Well, I'm gonna
before
say,
this.
nobody can read it in 4 weeks, so.
Don't you trust your fire chief? I mean, isn't he, are you recommending this, Mark?
Well,
I don't-
Guys already.
I don't
It doesn't
think,
everything
I
to do
don't
with
think,
trusting.
Pat, I don't think we need to read the whole book.
I don't think you do
I
either.
just think there's.
I don't think
we-
you'll understand.
We need to know what we're gonna do for the fire official, and if we have to have this appeals board and set up, and we need to know that, you know, it's gonna cost, like Mark said, Fort Gratiot, I know a couple different guys there, I think Shaggy's one of them. You know, we could probably hire them to do ours, I mean, it's not a full-time job by any means.
Right.
But it'd be nice to find out, you know, what kind of cost, so, you know, we can say, okay, it's $2,000, you know, it's coming out of the building department, or the fire department, or,
Yeah, we need to
The
know.
road.
It's a safety issue.
Yeah. Because we just hired a guy, one of the guys who's joined the department, he is a state certified fire inspector. So we have a guy in the department who can do that now. You know, he joined our department, he used to be on Fort Gratiot, now he joined another department, so he is a state certified guy. So we have a guy that can do that. I mean, I can find out from Port Huron Township and from Fort Gratiot in the city of Port Huron what they use for inspection forms, and how do they fund those inspections? You know, I can find out that information. I didn't want to go through that end, because I thought that was the, you know, the tail wagging the dog. You know, you can't really find out all inspection forms to say you have a code that you want to enforce. You know, so that's why I didn't get you all that information, but I can
Well, we
get
can
that
do
stuff
that
to you
too,
this
Mark.
week and find out, you know, how their inspections will handle and how that's paid for. You know, 3 code books, you guys, I don't know if you guys even have a plumbing code book on this here, I don't even know if you have a plumbing code.
They just come out with all new,
You know,
Yeah.
so, I can find out how that information is, you know, I get your copy next week, get in your boxes.
Do we have a
But
motion?
nobody seconded it.
Yes, I did, I will second it.
To find out the
Could you read
information by
motion?
next month.
Could you read the motion,
You have the
please?
information that we've been discussing, the cost and who would do it, and how we would set it up by next month. Have it prepared for the September meeting?
Yeah, that's, well, we have a motion and a second for that.
Right.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
So if you guys have the chapters, I ran you off a copy of all the chapters, and it has a basic synopsis below each one of those, kind of what it covers and what it would prevent and how it helps and what it does, just the basic wording below each of those chapter titles. That'll give you a reference. Because once I got the book, I said, no, it's crazy, print you guys out 1,500 pages, because you wouldn't, you wouldn't understand the majority of it anyway. It's not understand it, but it would be just jargon. It's like you read a medical journal, you know. It wouldn't. So I'll get that together for you.
One last question, would this affect home businesses, if we did a special variance to run a business out of
If
our
you
home?
had, like daycares and things, it's just to make sure you have exit lights and,
If there's no
you know,
employees,
and-
it's just us at home, we did a special land use.
I don't think it has.
I know there's a section in there on daycare.
Yeah, but you have to get your state licenses anyways, and, you know, when you have your state license, basically, it shows a copy of your state license, you know, and it's, you
And those
can run,
inspectors come
because
regularly,
the
don't
state,
they, for
you know, they're,
daycare?
because I have been asked numerous times as a fire chief to show my inspection records, and I can't do that. I have to say, we don't inspect. You know, but as been at St. Edward's, and they go around Lakeport School, they all ask for those, and I have to say, sorry. You know, and they go, seriously? And I say, yeah, you know, and just kind of blow it off, you know. But, you know, it's restaurants, it's the Ansel, they have their Ansels tested once a year. It's just simple stuff. Walk in, they give you a file. I've been with other departments and walk through with inspections, just to see how it's done. And they just, you know, make sure and say, hey, you know what, you probably shouldn't have those 45 boxes piled around that water heater. You know, just stuff like that. And then all it is you don't write them a ticket and a fine, you say, you know, you need to get that out of there. And I'll come back in a month and just, it's just like, let's hold hands and get through all this together. We're not there to write tickets and make people a
It would
hassle.
be checking with other townships to see how
What I'm wondering
it's.
is the people who have businesses in their home that have done the special land use that, you know, are doing it, would you then have to inspect them?
All depends, I think, what it was. If you're selling Mary Kay, I don't think it's an issue. But if you're selling fireworks, maybe, you know, or you're mixing, you name it, some kind of something, you know, you're making, I don't know, some product, you're shredding tires, maybe you need to do that.
I
you
guess
know.
I'm wondering, is it based on whether or not you have employees, or is it based on whether or not you're certified by the state law? Because we're literally self-contained, but it is a corporation.
I'd have to look at what that is.
That would be my only concern.
Go on.
But you're state licensed, right?
I don't know, you can probably,
We have a, you
You
know,
guys said we could do it.
federal identification number, and yeah, we came up with special land use with you guys, and we were running the CNC.
If you have
manufacturing.
you can probably go online and look up you can probably go online and look up the 2009 International.
Is it for your public, or do you have to pay for it?
I think you can look at it online for free.
I'm sure it's.
I mean, you can,
Just to find out if in there, it
There's-
says like
there's all-
every business whatsoever.
No, most cottage industries
Every business,
slide
yes.
underneath.
Okay.
Most
if
do,
if
not
it's
all,
adopted,
but
every
most
business
do.
is required.
Okay, moving on.
Yeah, it does, I mean, I've dealt with that in New York City because they're real sticklers on it. So, I mean, I carried shampoos, and the quantity of shampoo that I carried would be an issue if you went in with a fire hose. So even though it just would. So we let the fire department in our local area know exactly what we were storing, how much of it there was. I did it voluntarily because it didn't meet requirements. So there are requirements set for what you are doing, the amounts of stuff that you can have, et cetera, et cetera.
Well, it's just the same.
I agree that, it should be done, but I think what your big questions are is, or what Mark can provide for you is, what happens after it's adopted?
Right,
Because there is work that needs to be done.
that's right.
And what steps are those, what kind of records have to be kept, who's gonna keep them, where are they stored,
Well, we'll find all that, we'll find all that out.
And I'm sure Mark's the one that can actually find all those questions out of you, just if you let him know.
Get the book back so everybody can glance at it.
Right.
Do we want to order 3 books for the township?
Well,
Not until we
Yeah,
adopt
until we
it.
adopt it.
yeah, you probably don't have to, you can probably go.
Well, that's what I kind of thought, we'd adopt it, then we buy the books, you know.
Well-
That's okay.
You'll have to share, you'll have to be good kids and
I
Because
know
to me, it's strictly a public safety issue, you know, but that's fine. We'll do what we voted to do. We'll check it out and see. I gather this board is more interested in what it's going to cost and how it's going to be implemented. Have I got
That's
the
my
idea right?
feeling. We need to
Well,
know
I
what
want
to do.
safety, but I would like to know
How
if
we're
it's gonna
do
be
it.
implemented.
We're not, are we interested in what's in that code? Are we going to study the code book? I don't think so.
Well,
I think we're interested.
No, but I haven't even seen the pages with the chapters and the synopsis that Mark said, so
Okay.
I'd like to see that.
I put one copy in everyone's mail, all 5 of you.
You got it, it's right here.
Okay.
2 months ago, I put one in everybody's
Back
mail.
Pretty brief. or
But I'll get this
100
other
feet.
stuff and then I'll get into so you have time to look at it in the next month.
Well, that's what's in here.
It was 2 months ago when they got it.
Yeah, okay, go back and,
Oh, yeah, I don't,
probably read it
No, this
then.
is a synopsis that we got from them.
right. But I thought that's what he copied.
Okay. Enough with the fire code.
There's mine, that must be.
Okay.
New business. 2014 County Park Recreation Local Millage Distribution. John, you want to?
Every year, the county shares the millage money that they receive, the county park and rec, and our portion this year is, I gotta read my report properly.
16,856?
Yes.
Yeah.
And we have to fill out this form, that how much we spent last year, what we spent it on, what we predict that we will spend it on this year, and it has to be approved by the board. And then we send it in, and they send it to us, if they approve of how we're spending it. And that's it.
So I move to
Would somebody like to
approve
make a
this.
motion?
Yep.
That we approve this?
Second.
Well, we have a motion to approve, we have a second. We have a roll call vote, please.
Mr. Browett?
Yes.
Mr. Platzer?
Yes.
Mrs. Minnie?
Yes.
Mr. Apple?
Yes.
Mrs. Tremblay, yes.
Okay, item B is transfer drain money to match money in St. Clair County.
Right, I talked with Tammy Holzberger at the county. We have $8,957 in our drain fund that can be transferred to our match money fund. And in fact, we only have one more year that will sit on the books, and if we don't use it, we lose it. If we transfer it over to our match money fund, which can go toward any of the road work that we do, that'll start another 3-year cycle, that we have to use it within that 3-year time period. The only, she said, are you planning any major ditch work or whatever, because that could be covered under the drain fund, and I said, I didn't think so at this time. I thought we were in pretty good shape with our ditching and drains. Not our drain, well, this doesn't include the Lakeland drain, but anyway. So, my proposal would be to transfer the $8,957 over to the match money fund for all road improvement things, which could also include taking down trees or whatever.
Are you putting that in the form of a motion?
I wasn't necessarily, but I can, if you want.
Well, it doesn't.
Okay, I can.
If somebody would entertain a motion.
I can move that we request the transfer of the drain funds of $8,957 over to our match money fund for road work.
I'll second that.
Okay.
We have a motion and a second, transfer the drain money to the match money for the St. Clair County Road Fund. A roll call vote, please.
Caroline, yes. Mr. Apple?
Yes.
Mr. Brod?
Yes.
Mrs. Minnie?
Yes.
Mr. Planzer?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
While we're still on that activity sheet from the county, right below that match money balance thing,
Right.
there was asphalt patching, Washington.
And that was from the water.
Yeah, I know, but it says our share was $379.
That's it so far, but I think we just got a new bill after that,
Well,
didn't we?
they just did it last week, so did we get a bill yet?
There was a temporary patch.
I mean, we're not using match money for that,
No.
so that should all be coming over the water.
Mm-hmm,
Okay, that's all I was,
right.
just so our regular road money's not being.
That's right.
Okay, that's all I want to know, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, supervisor's report. Oh, I wanted to talk about the MDOT letter that we received, and we've already covered that, so I'll move on to the clerk's report.
Give me a second here. Okay, I talked with the county last month. We had this little flyer that wondered if we wanted a plat book for the township, and also did we want to stock them for sale. So I talked to the fellow, Joe Couts from the USDA, and he said he's been making arrangements with the smaller townships. If we sell one, they'll give us one free. If we want to put some on, keep some on hand, that we don't have to pay for them prior to them doing that. We would only pay for them as they were sold. And if we don't sell any, we can return them, and there's no problem with that. I don't remember it being that way in the past. I thought we had to pay for them up front, but they just got the office opened again. It's been closed for a couple of years. They're trying to work with the local governments and people, and so, do we want to do that?
I would make a motion that we maybe get 4 plot books and have them here for somebody that might come in and want them. Since we don't have to pay for them, it's a good deal. You have them on hand here. I think 4 would be sufficient. We need more if we need them.
Right.
How long are they?
Every 2 years. He
2
said, I
years?
thought it was longer than that.
Okay.
I'll support your motion, but do we need another on it, or just, I mean,
Well,
are we gonna have to come back when those 4 get sold, you're gonna have to come back to get more, or, I mean, I just assume just say, you know.
Well, I would think so, since they're free and
I
we're
know,
not
just
spending
say-
any money.
Why don't we just make a motion just to sell?
Well, yeah,
plat book,
just
sell the plat book,
just have some plat books here.
whatever they want.
Yeah.
Whatever they
Let's
wanna
not-
drop
Let's
off?
not limit the number then.
Yeah, that's all,
Okay.
that's all,
All right.
if you don't mind,
I'll agree. I will change my motion to
then I'll support it.
just get a box and then we'll have them.
Oh, I don't care.
No,
Well, they're $30 a piece. I don't know how many we'll sell, but we should sell some. People like to keep up to
Just
it.
sell one, please, so we get through.
Okay, we have a motion and
Yeah.
a second to store the plot books.
What's the plat book?
It's the whole county,
Good
it's the
question.
whole county, it's updated with all the property owners.
Property
Up to
owners.
date
All
property
the
owners.
properties, how they're divided.
Oh, probably a year ago.
Every-
It's never
yeah,
up to date,
probably.
but
Yeah.
it's more.
So-
up
You
to
know,
date.
your
Interesting.
piece
Is
of
it a plot
property is
book?
is a
Well, yeah,
plat.
I have our plat. I just wasn't sure.
This is a book with the
if
whole
it's
county.
all of them, okay.
Yeah, all different.
Yeah, 100.
For $30, you can mow on.
See who your neighbors are.
I don't want to know
You
it.
think so?
Yes.
You might not want one.
We
So,
have-
yeah, it's not a roll call vote, though, 'cause we're not-
No, we have a motion to accept some books and have them here for our plot books. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Okay. Trustees report.
Skip the treasurer.
Oh, treasurer,
I'm all set, I don't have any,
do we have anything?
we got one.
Okay, thank you. Cindy?
Well, one of the things was this resolution on the nuclear waste. And
Mhm.
I happened to hear yesterday the meeting that Senator Pavlov had. And I want to say it was, I turned into it on the radio in the middle of it, so I'm assuming it was maybe last week. And it is a real scary situation, and it needs to be addressed. So and they were listing townships and cities and so on who have done resolutions. So that was one of the things I wanted to know. I knew we talked about it, but I didn't know that we'd done it. We need to do this. And every person in this whole world needs to be on this, because it's, Great Lakes supplies 40 million people with water. And there is no safe way to store that low or medium grade waste. And the 3 that they already are doing are already leaking. So that's my soapbox on that. The other 2 things are, there's a dead tree in the cemetery and Jim Brown's tree. And I would like to see them taken out, and I would like to see a new tree for Jim Brown and put it in a new spot, possibly in the spot where we cut that big tree down. Because whatever that spot is where Jim's tree is, this is the 3rd tree, and there's something the matter. It's too wet, or,
For some reason, it is really wet.
and I know we had a really bad winter, but that tree was doing wonderful, and so, those were my 2 things.
Can we just go over to Brown's and get a tree?
Say that again?
Can we just go over to Brown's and get a tree?
I don't know why not.
I don't think that's a big deal. I don't think it needs a motion, though.
Yeah, because you're spending, well, I don't know, you know.
Yeah, we are spending money.
So Cindy made a motion.
I made a motion.
I'll second it. We have a motion and a second to replace Mr. Brown's tree in the cemetery, and we're gonna leave that up to
No,
Al.
that's.
No, it's the tree out here,
The cemetery will take care of that tree.
Oh, okay.
and find
This
a
tree out
better
here,
spot.
this
for
is
it.
the
Yes.
3rd one?
This is the
Yeah.
3rd one.
Do you ever think Jim maybe didn't want a tree?
No,
No,
Okay.
you haven't found the kind you
I'm
like?
just
the
kidding.
planning.
No,
commission
actually, we did have a really good kind, this one. But this past
What do you think's
winter,
the problem there?
Yeah, I've heard
it was a
lot of
killer.
It's really wet there. I don't know why, we gotta move it.
The garden club used to keep flowers around it,
Mm-hmm.
and you would put them in and they would drown. This tree didn't drown, but I think that it probably drowned and then it froze to death, personally. So maybe where the big tree left, or,
Yeah,
Okay,
we
we
do
have a
it.
motion and support to replace the tree. All in favor?
A
How
roll
much
call.
money are you
Roll
gonna
call,
spend?
we're spending money.
Okay, Mrs. Minnie,
yes.
Mike,
Yes.
Mr. Apple, Mr. Bradley,
Yes.
Mr. Blatzer.
How much money are we gonna spend?
I don't know.
Well, do you think we should put that in the motion?
I don't have an idea what they cost, but
Up to $200.
Okay.
That work?
that'll work.
I don't.
I don't know.
I don't think it's that much either,
Depends
but
on how big one you
Depends
want.
on what kind of tree you want to put in there. They charge you
Money tree.
Yeah.
that's a good idea.
I mean, it's the 3rd
Who
one.
made the motion? You, Mike? Did we just?
I did.
Minnie, you
Cindy,
did.
I seconded.
Yes, thank you.
So we'll change our motion to $200, Cindy? It's your
Yes.
motion,
Up to,
up to $200.
Okay, Mrs. Minnie,
yes.
Mr. Apple.
Yes.
Mr. Bradley.
Yes.
Mr. Blatzer.
Yes.
Motion carries.
No, I haven't voted yet.
Still curious, well, go ahead.
Yeah, aye, yes, okay.
Okay,
other things,
motion
Cindy?
carries.
That's it.
I'll talk to her about the other tree later.
Okay,
We'll take care of it.
Al, you got anything?
we got a couple of dead ones in there. I'll vote too.
Cindy, were you done?
Yes.
I had a complaint about that tree out there, I was gonna ask about that too, so that's good, I'm glad you got that. The other thing, I had a complaint, now that we're renting the pavilion up there, I guess somebody rented it like on Saturday, and they left all the garbage there. And it was just a mess, people that rented it on Sunday.
Just this
had to-
last
Had to
Saturday?
clean it up, I think it was a week ago or something, I don't know.
Well, we didn't have 2 people who rented on a weekend, I don't think.
I don't know.
Only one of them was signed
Telling
up.
you, the guy told me this, and so, I don't know, on that rental form, all I was gonna suggest is that we make sure that something's on there, you know, to clean up your garbage.
That
We
has-
have a dumpster over there, I mean, it's,
Yeah, and what Dusty said is to have them pile it on top of the dumpster, because he doesn't want that dumpster unlocked. Then you've got residents all over using it.
Well, I'd like to just throw this out, if we're gonna have problems with the garbage here and stuff, then I suggest that maybe we, just like we do over at the township hall, that we have refundable fee if it isn't right. You know, I mean, that's something that maybe we're gonna have to change and.
Well, first of all, we gotta get the rules written
Yeah,
down.
well, and
Yeah, once we-
I can kind of agree with you, but the problem is, you know, if I go over there and have a party at noon on Saturday, and we're out of there at 3 o'clock, and somebody comes in there between 3 o'clock and dark, and they make a mess, you know, I clean my mess up, you know, and I want my money back, and you say, you left a mess, no, we didn't, you know.
Take pictures.
Yeah, but,
You're in a hotel room, take a
What-
picture when you leave.
What side of trash, what kind of trash receptacles are around the park?
Well, we have a dumpster over
we
there.
have a
But
dumpster.
besides the dumpster, is there anything
Uh,
else?
There is a
There-
trash receptacle there.
There's some small receptacles over there, but.
I just think it's something we're gonna, I think we got time, the summer's winding down, but
No, I think we need to deal with
just
it.
so we're aware of it, so.
Mhm. If we have warm weather through October, people could be there
Wow.
using it. Yes, we do need to set the rules down and,
And that is a problem, because people don't have to lease it. I mean, if it's vacant, they can just go in there and do their thing.
But they
You're
also
right.
don't have any electricity either.
no, supposedly, but it was left on somehow. over the
Somebody,
weekend, too.
somebody turned the electricity on for them.
Yeah, we don't, because they didn't
What?
want it.
Yeah,
They didn't want it. It was people from Butternut, they didn't want it. They said they didn't need it. Next thing we know, the next day, the electricity's on.
box is open and electricity's on.
Isn't the box locked?
Yeah,
was
it's
not
supposed to be.
Check
No,
the
it was
squirrel,
not.
It was locked the
It
week
was locked.
before.
check the
So
squirrel.
somebody's got a key. Other than
Yeah,
us.
so here we go. Anyway,
Door.
So
Such is life.
What we do is we get another lock and
yeah.
keep the
Start
keys
over?
here.
We
Yeah.
need the keys, yeah.
Oh, I
Well,
know.
you get one and you get one, because you know you're gonna get those weekend calls. Whoops, we
Oh,
forgot to
yeah,
get
we
the key.
forgot to pick up the key for the
And
electricity.
Dusty gets one.
When they rent the hall, don't they take their trash with them?
Yes,
Supposed to.
yes.
Then
Maybe
take your
we ought-
trash when you're done with the
Maybe we ought to put
pavilion.
that in the pavilion, but
Because that dumpster's gonna be full anyway during
But
the
the-
summer.
The
But the thing
dumpster is
is-
locked.
When they leave the hall's locked,
Mhm.
so, you
That's
know,
right.
Chuck checks it out,
Yeah.
and they're giving back their money. That's all I'm saying is,
You're right, because anybody can use it after that. You can have 4 different groups, and
Yeah.
who knows who's leaving the
can it
trash.
just be kids, so.
Could be anybody, yeah.
Don't blame it on the
Just
kids, it's probably.
Adults,
Yeah,
yeah, you might be
yeah.
right.
well, maybe we have to look at maybe putting another receptacle there.
Yeah, and then you're gonna have the whole neighborhood use
But
it.
then, well, that's what
Well,
happens.
no.
They come along and all the neighbors put their junk in there.
Well,
You know,
If
if you
people
leave
are
it
picking
open.
up the key to the electrical box, couldn't the key also work the dumpster? And then you'd know if they picked
No
up the
reason why
trash,
it
if
couldn't.
the dumpster's locked back
Yeah,
up and
but
it's
they-
up there.
That's a thought.
That's a good thought.
I
Yeah.
use the bar, so.
But on the other hand, why is the
Using
dumpster
three
even,
different locks,
why
and
would
they
we
just
even have a
don't have
dumpster there if it's
Whoever
locked?
used to do.
Because Dusty runs around and cleans up everything out of the park and puts it in there. Otherwise, if it's not locked, remember we had a dead deer in there, we've had everybody's, anything you wanna name it, Al, in there, and that's why it became locked.
People over on Butternut come over and use it.
Yes,
for their
or
stuff in there.
other areas.
You don't have to pay for garbage. but-
Right,
An idea, and the
Go ahead.
librarian isn't here. I'm part of the 4-H group, and each year they have a contest. And they're the big metal barrels, and they're heavy.
right.
But they have a contest to paint them.
Mhm.
And maybe not this year, but maybe next year, and then you put, say, 3, 4, or a half dozen around the park, and then Dusty just takes the trash out of those, and it encourages people to throw their stuff away.
Well, we do have receptacles there. They're metal mesh kind of, they're not painted, like you're saying, but that's what he does. He empties those regularly into the dumpster. The dumpster gets used, it's pretty full by the end of the week. But if he doesn't, I mean, I have to say, I give Dusty a lot of credit for the stuff that he's gotten out of that dumpster. And that's when he finally, we agreed that he should lock it.
Because you guys can copy the keys around, get 3 or 4 locks and rotate them out.
Well, I think the problem is too, that the problem is with the electrical box, we weren't gonna give up keys to the electrical box.
Right.
We were gonna unlock it,
And,
and we were gonna lock it, you know.
yeah, well, we have to figure that one out.
Because the
We'll
problem
get
with
it.
that is
It's
that
on
we're,
there.
somebody's gonna get a key and they're gonna open that up and, some night they'll be jamming over there at 3 o'clock in the morning, waking up the neighbors, so.
Well, maybe that new fire official will have that job.
There you go,
Yeah.
there you go.
Could be. Good idea.
Okay, here we go.
And we gotta go into,
We could do the extended public comment first, or no?
I have something to say on the extended public comment right while you're talking about the park.
Okay.
You people
We're
didn't,
gonna go into extended public comment, so.
okay. You want me to say it now?
Sure.
Well, you were just talking about the park. I don't think you gave any thought to what you were doing. There was a family that has had their reunion there, and you probably all know the gentleman. The first, what was it, Saturday of August or something?
The first week it was rented out.
Yeah. And he got there and found out that they couldn't use it because it had already been reserved. That's not fair. I mean, you should have notified the public way before you started doing what you did.
I don't disagree with that.
I think that's what I said.
You had no notification to people that they could not go there. I mean, first come, first serve for what?
Forever.
Ever? My lifetime, close to 80 years. And all of a sudden, this man who has his whole family coming from Florida and all over, they get there and they can't have their family reunion.
Well, that's why we put it into a lease, so they could lease it, you know. I mean, that was one of the objectives to doing that, so people could, you know.
But you had to know, you should have notified.
I know, Pat,
people ahead of
but
time.
we did it at the July meeting, and that was the
And
first of
notified for
August.
the 1st of August. That's not enough time.
Well, I probably, you know, in hindsight, it probably
Who
wasn't.
reserved the hall that knew that week?
Someone that had actually called and asked,
I
Asked
don't know.
for it.
yeah, they asked.
They have it reserved? and they
Yes,
knew
and I
that it
actually have
was
somebody
reserved?
that called, it was funny, because I had somebody call from, well, they have a place here, but anyway, they want it for next year already, wondered if we do reserve it, and that was the call that I got for that one. And I said, well, we're gonna be deciding it, we're gonna be talking about it and possibly deciding at our next meeting. So I would let them know, and as soon as the meeting was over, the next day,
I think it was, I don't think you should have done it. I think it was very uncalled for and very unfair to the residents of this township.
Well, we're sorry that happened, and I happen to
You
know
should be.
who it was, but.
You certainly should be.
Well-
I have a feeling I know who it was too. I think it was probably an insider.
Well, but then again, if he went over there on Saturday
No, that's
and
not
it was
true,
busy,
I-
you know, if he went there on Saturday and it was busy, you know, he wouldn't have been able to use it anyway.
But it was first come, first served for years.
Absolutely.
And he
Well,
got
I
there at
understand.
like
I understand.
6 o'clock in the
Yeah.
morning or whatever.
Yeah,
You know, well, we,
I agree with
you
you.
know, I'll admit we made a
I agree
mistake,
with
you know.
There was another lady that came in to vote that was very upset about it. We told her to come over here, but she probably didn't.
yeah.
Well, the next time, give it a little more thought, like you're thinking about the fire thing here and saying that you gotta.
And
think
it
about
did get in the
it's not
paper,
just
did
a-
you see it in the paper?
Yeah, but afterwards,
Mhm, after that, right.
Yes.
Mhm. Oh, I agree with you.
It was not on the website.
no, it's not on the
I
website.
I sent it to be on the website. So it's
So it was
not,
on
I think it
the
is
website,
now.
it was on the
Yeah.
website.
I think it is now.
well, sometimes it doesn't get on as quick as we'd like. When I see
Well,
it,
you know, all I can
it's
do is
on
we
it.
apologize, you know, and when I see the gentleman, I'll certainly apologize to
Okay,
him.
thank you.
you
I
know.
think it'll make you feel a little better.
Good.
Sometimes it just isn't a perfect
But
look.
they did have to move their family reunion off to a farm someplace, so.
Very nice.
Well, they had a
Yeah,
pretty
very
nice,
nice
they had a
farm,
pretty
yes,
nice
but
farm
I
to
mean,
move
it
it
was-
to, so,
Yeah.
you know.
But it was an inconvenience.
Yes, I understand.
Don't wink at Mr. What's his name down there, Mike, you're talking to me.
Pardon me?
I said, don't wink at Mr.
Is,
There wasn't no wink, I think it was
Oh, look.
Is that like
I
a?
raised my hand.
He raised his hand, that's why I looked at him. Is there anybody else extended public comment?
I have a question. Do you have anything printed out at all about the toxic waste management? Is there anything in here
About what?
to read about that, about what Ms. Minnie was talking about?
Oh, the nuclear dump.
Yeah, the nuclear dumping.
there's a website
The petition, what is?
and there's a petition to sign. And I have to tell you that I would call Senator Pavlov's office or the radio station, because I was driving and I didn't write it down and I had a lot on my mind. It's a really simple website, but I can't remember right now.
That website you put on our website.
And we can put it on as if we I mean,
Just a link to it.
yeah, it's just, I had a lot going on. I was in Marysville from 6 o'clock in the morning till 6 o'clock at night for 2 days, and but I'll tell you, and I'm assuming they'll maybe will run it again. I'd call the radio station and say, hey, I heard you ran this at 6 o'clock on Sunday morning. Are you gonna do it again?
Well, I
Yeah,
call,
'cause
I call.
I'm sure everybody around here in the community would like to know about it.
Well, it's, you know, I mean,
can
it's
give you
been in the
this,
paper.
I can give you this with the title on it, is, you know, opposing the construction of nuclear waste repository on the Great Lakes Basin.
Yeah, check
Yeah,
I'm trying
the
to
radio
think of,
website.
Yeah. I mean, I was just
I can get you Senator Pavlov's telephone number too,
That'd
appalled.
be great.
you know,
That, you know,
I'll do that.
if there's to live
Stop the
here.
Great Lakes Nuclear Dump.com, gopetition.com, there's a petition on it. Change.org has probably one. I think there's a couple of them. It's on our Facebook like a year. People liking it.
They have been doing this for 7 years, and the lady said, we only heard about it 2 years ago.
Yeah, it's pretty bad, pretty secret.
I only heard about last week. You gotta be kidding.
Too much listen, last week.
Yeah, they're at the, with that, they're at the final stages
Yeah.
now where they're going for the okay, they're having their final public hearing on it, you know.
They never looked at one other site except Kincardine. That's pretty bad. Out of a 1,300-page book, there was 1 page about it.
That's ridiculous.
So it's,
It's sadly, but it's normal.
I can't, it's
It's not a
You
good
figure
thing.
your children.
1,000
kids,
years.
And we're getting older, we may not see all the effects that come from that, but our families will in the future.
Oh, absolutely.
And they're the
Something goes wrong
ones
with
that
it,
are gonna
something
end
goes
up
wrong with
paying
it,
for
you
any
pollute the whole
action
Great Lakes.
that's made right now.
You know,
That's sad.
it affects the whole Great Lakes, all the water for everybody and,
40 million people.
It'll float in the ocean. It'll affect everything.
it's mind-boggling to even think about. Mr. Abernathy.
Yes, the grass got mowed on that property on Harris that there were complaints about, but the one on Lorraine hasn't been taken care of. The other one happened to be mowed. I don't know whether that was done by the township or not.
The one in the corner in Norman,
Yeah.
trust me, that's not
And
a
if-
problem.
Did the township, were they responsible for mowing the one on Harris?
He sent letters.
Okay. It did get mowed, but it looks like it got mowed by a neighbor. And I don't think that that's what the ordinance is all about. I don't think neighbors should be on neighbors' property.
Well, I don't know, I don't.
So that's the reason that I had asked for the FOIA complaint forms from Carol Ann, and I still haven't gotten for the checks and
I'm
balances.
still trying to get, if you want it all, I'm still trying to get the forms that Mike Riley had, and
I called him again today.
you
and
want it
asked him
in
to bring
pieces?
that stuff in.
You want it in pieces?
Not really. I mean, I'd much rather have it all at one time,
Okay.
But some neighbors play let's make a deal, like where I live, it's seasonal, and, you know, the year-rounders keep an eye out for seasonal people, and there's at least 3 properties on my road that I know are cut by neighbors, but they
Yeah,
have
no.
permission to do so.
Well, see, the township
Yeah.
isn't interested who cuts them as long as they're
It's
cut,
cut,
you know.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's it.
I mean, it's just that if there's a complaint put out on it, and then you have neighbors going over on neighbors that this is an abandoned house, so it's, the person shouldn't be on that property. Secondly, we had an ordinance that was put in place that hasn't been followed up on, that would not make it necessary for that neighbor to go over and do that. And
Right.
so, that's just the point behind that. I didn't get the notice of the meeting on the 20th, and I think you posted it on the 12th, I don't know why. I don't want to get it like on the morning of the 20th.
I emailed it to you.
Did you?
Yeah.
I haven't gotten it unless,
I emailed it the day it was
double-
posted.
I double checked
Wow.
all my emails.
Wait a minute.
I was gonna ask about rules for the park pavilion, because it didn't seem like, it was like we voted to rent it, but
Wait a minute, the
Seems
meeting on
like
the
they're-
20th,
I,
oh,
Maybe the meeting on the 11th of August.
you got that one because you were here. And the 20th would be the day before our regular meeting. You were here for the meeting on the 11th.
Yeah, no, I'm talking about the one that's coming up on the 20th.
We don't
What
have
meeting?
one
meeting?
meeting on.
Isn't there a
I think that's a, I think that's a ZBA.
That's a CBA meeting.
Unless you call it.
That's a CBA
We
meeting.
didn't call a meeting.
Oh, okay,
And I don't have that.
okay.
It's posted, I didn't
So
post
there, it's on the door.
it. Okay. I come in this door, I'm sorry.
Okay, no, therein lies one of the
Oh,
situations
yes.
where I'm not notified,
Okay,
but through FOIA have asked to be,
okay,
of all the meetings, not just the ones that the board holds, but all the meetings that are public meetings held in the township. And if it's a ZBA, or if it's a, whatever it is, a planning commission, I'd like,
It's a ZBA.
I was just guessing.
I'd like the minutes on those. Everything that's I'm entitled to there. So we're gonna do rules for the park pavilion, that was another question, because it just seemed like we voted to rent it, no rules. Is patching a state road already set up to be done? No, because that was mentioned, I think you mentioned it, Mrs.
Oh, that,
Yeah, the
The
patching,
tarring, the
yeah, the tarring.
correct.
no.
When that's done, or when it's set up, I had mentioned this before, I would really like to see Harris Road done. I can't speak that this is a true fact, but I had heard, and I can get the information, that that road was laid during a sprinkling day. And it is cracked to no end.
You complained about it,
you
Harris.
know, And, yeah, Harris.
About it.
I mean, it was a bad road to begin with, but it just doesn't
I
even
know
seem to
exactly
be
what it's
better
like.
than what it was. It is very, very cracked, and if we
For-
go through another winter without having it rubberized. And if
For
it was
relatively
late
new
during a
road,
sprinkling
it's-
day, it should have never been done. I know I talked to Al about it, he said the asphalt was the same, that's fine, but it's just not in good shape.
I'll talk to Mr. Weston about that.
It hasn't held up.
No, not at all. I mean, I know we had
They
a
did do
bad
some
winter
repairs
last
over
year, but State Road didn't show up to be much different between the two, because I drive those two roads all the time, and State Road was done really well, it's held up really well, it's time
We've
to,
talked with them about it.
but Harris just didn't,
No. It wasn't, it didn't appear to be right from the get-go.
no, so. And the briefs, do we know what we're gonna do with the briefs? After I last month, and Jody had said he'd like to have the briefs put in with the taxes, I couldn't remember why we didn't want to do that. And I know that there might have been a reason, but when I left, I thought, that does kind of make sense. That there isn't time-sensitive stuff anyway. I hate to lose the briefs.
Not everybody would get that.
Would get what?
The briefs is there with the taxes.
If they're going with the taxes. Yeah.
Well, and we had, I thought, a pretty good response on people that still wanted it to be mailed.
No,
We
you're
had
gonna mail it.
We had
that-
35 responses
Okay,
to mail them, and we had 18 or 19 to
Right.
view them on the internet. So, what do you do?
well,
Out of,
I think I mentioned this before, however, to me,
But nobody
something
put
like
in
that
they
is
wanted
like
it
a
in the
vote.
text, Jill.
100% of the people are not gonna vote for the board,
That's right.
yea or nay. It's of those that voted, who
absolutely.
won or who lost. And if people wanna keep it, if the majority of those who care wanna keep it, I think it should be kept. I just hate to see it go. And if it's cheaper to do it this way, but I think we proved that it was cheaper anyway to do it the way that we did it, so.
Mailing it, way
Yeah.
cheaper than what we'd originally thought was going to be,
Yeah,
yes.
so,
But not as cheap as going with the taxes.
no, I understand. But hate to, I just don't want it down if there's an opportunity.
Well, I don't think it was
still
a
to-
question if we were gonna do it, it's a matter of how we're gonna
How you're gonna do it.
circulate it.
Okay. That's all I have.
Okay, thank you. We are going to go into closed session. We have a legal matter that we need to discuss the board, so we will be going into executive session.
Will that be discussed afterwards or not?
There will be no motions, there will be no motions carried. It's just a discussion. I mean, we're not gonna act on it.
Okay. Thanks.
Thank you. Good night, folks.
Good night.
Good night.